Hello YouTube, my name is James. In this video, I will tell you how to make a really cool video game idea that I just got. So you start off by deleting the Scratch Cat sprite and you add your own sprite called player. For the player, you need to draw a small square. It can be any color as long as it is a square. So it should be small like this. So this is perfect, or you can even try about smaller, perhaps. So, so this is the size I will be choosing for this sprite. So you start off by going to x0, y 150. Let's see. So the sprite is over here. So this is what we want. So we want our player to here and drop down here. So we will add a falling animation or falling command. So we need a variable called vertical velocity. Okay, so first delete this variable, set vertical velocity to 0 forever. Change vertical velocity by -1 and change y by vertical velocity. So when you click here, you can see our player falling. However, the falling speed is pretty slow. So you speed it up by changing the vertical velocity block to -1.5. So you can see the player is now falling faster. So we want something for our player to land on, or else the player will be stuck in the edge. So we add another sprite called platform. So for this sprite, you just need to draw a small square or a small rectangle. My mistake. So you add the small square here. No, the small rectangle here. Down to here. Now you go into the blocks. You said when flat click, go to x0, y0. So, so I add this command to prevent our platform from moving to place like this, or this. So we want it to stay right here. So I'm gonna click. So you see a problem here. Our player is not landing on the platform. So first I will make the player go to front layer to see what's happening right here. So the player is in front of the platform now, but you see the player is not really landing on the platform. So you add a command if if touching color black, or you can add the command, or you can add this, or you can add the block if touching platform, then stop all. So you can see our player here. Our player is sort of landing on the platform, but we want our player to stand on the platform like this, not go into the platform. So we have this block touching platform. Run with a screen refresh. Move the define touching platform here. Add the touching platform into the if touching platform. So for the define touching platform block, you add repeat until not not touching platform. You change y by 1. Okay, so you can see our player is landing on right here. Even if I drag the player here he still falls on the platform. Now we want to make a jumping command to make our player able to jump. So we add when fast click forever if we add two or blocks here. If key space press If key for this, it will be key up arrow, and if key W press, then we set vertical velocity to around 10. So let's see. So you can see our player is jumping, but there's a problem. If you keep holding space or W or up arrow, our player will keep jumping and will fly forever and will not be able to land. So to prevent this from happen, you make a variable called um jump for the sprite only. When flag click set jump to 0, so you move this block outside. You add a block and here if jump is less than 6, you add the block back in. So you change jump by 1. So we need to detect when the player is touching the platform. So we make a clone of our player. We, we delete all this block. We delete the block. Okay. So now after you delete the block, you go to make the size of this bigger. And you say when flag click forever, go to player. So you can see here the so you can see the clone that we just made is going to the player that we want. So now we make another variable called touching for all sprite. When flag click set touching to 0, go to so you add forever go to player if touching platform you set touching to 1, or else if you're not touching platform, then you set touching to 0. So you can see the touching variable here. So when the player is touching the platform, the variable turns into changes value to 1. So now when flag click, so you change jump into 0. Use right here jump equal 0. You change now when flag click forever if touching equals 1, you set jump to 0. So you see our player can jump here, and even if I keep holding space, our player cannot jump further. It cannot float like before. So that's a good thing. So now if you want our player to jump higher, you can set vertical velocity to around 15, for example. So this is a bit too high. You set it around 13, 12. Okay, so this is the perfect amount. Now we need to add some commands to make our player able to move left and right. So we make a variable called vertical velocity for this sprite. No, horizontal velocity. Horizontal velocity. Okay, so when flag click forever, if key, if key, for example, like we add, so we add two OR blocks. If key left arrow, if key left arrow or key A press, you set horizontal velocity to to around like no, you change vertical velocity by 1. Nice. if key if key right arrow or key D press, you set change horizontal velocity by -1, and you add another block forever, change x by horizontal velocity. Better, so you set horizontal velocity to 0. So if key left arrow or key A press, change horizontal velocity by -1, and if key right arrow or key D press, change horizontal velocity by 1. So you can see our player is moving. So if you move like this, our player will keep moving on forever. So you need to do something to stop this. So you add when flag click forever, set horizontal velocity to horizontal velocity multiply by 0.9, for example. A player will not be able to move forever. So like there's some sort of resistance on the floor, on the platform. So that prevents a player from keep moving. So that's a good thing. Or if you want even more friction, you can add something to like 0.8. Our player is now moving very slow. But you change to 0.9. So this is the right value. So now that we got our player, you see our player can sort of like go into this. It keeps touching, it keeps in the edge. So we want something like, for example, a right wall. No, you add the left wall first. So you add a wall right here. So when flag click, when flag click forever, go to 0, 0. No, when flag click go to 0, 0. Okay, so our player is touching the left wall. So we need to add a block for our player called touching left wall. Run a screen refresh. So we need a block to detect if our player is touching the left wall or not. So forever, when flag click forever, if if touching left wall, then we do at the block touching left wall. So if we touch left wall, we want our player to move backward. Change x by 1. So so with me, run a screen refresh. So we add this block, repeat until not touching left wall. So you got, so the wall is sort of blocking you in from going to the edge. So that's a great thing. So and you also add, if if horizontal velocity is, for example, less than zero, horizontal velocity is less than zero, set horizontal velocity to zero. So a player can hit the wall and get right back. But if you do this, so you can look at our player horizontal velocity. If you don't add this block, our player will need some time to get off the wall. It is sort of like there's some kind of magnet on the wall, so we add this block here. So it will allow a player to move from the wall quickly instead of like sticking to the wall for a bit. Now we add we add another sprite called right wall. So do right here, flip horizontal, and you got yourself the right wall. So when flag click forever go to 0 0. Name this the right wall. So when flag click forever go to 0 0 also. So you need to make a block also. This one is touching right wall. Running a screen refresh. When flag click, if touching right wall, use the block touching right wall. So for this block, define touching right wall. So you sort of duplicate this, but you change the code a bit. So if repeat until not touching the right wall, change x by -1. If horizontal velocity is greater than 0, set horizontal velocity to 0. Now, let's test. Okay, so this is working great. So now our player can sort of move around. Well, but I think we are sort of missing something. So if there's the left wall, right wall, and the platform, I think we need a ceiling too. So we will sort of go in here, copy this part, and add another sprite called ceiling. So this is just for visual and it doesn't really have any use. So you add this, you go select all and then flip vertical. And then you got yourself a ceiling. So now we need a block for the ceiling. One flag click for one flag click go to 0 0. Okay, so now you got yourself a wall. So you can change this a bit to make the platform sort of thinner. Okay, so this is perfect. So once you have added all of these, now you need to get make a player weapon also. So you come here, you name this gun. So you sort of draw like some sort of gun or something. So I will choose the color gray. And the outline is around 4 or 5. So you move it to right here. So the center is right here. It should be at this part of the gun. So when flag click forever, go to player and point towards mouse pointer. So you got our gun here. So I think you would like it to go to forward layer. So you add this here so you can see the gun of the player right now. So when the player move, you can sort of like control the gun with your mouse. So control the gun with your mouse. So after you do like this, you can notice that our gun cannot shoot anything right now. So we will make another sprite called bullet. So want our gun to shoot like for example laser bullets. For example, we choose the color around 50. So this is the perfect color. Okay, so you can sort of move it into here. So you change it into 15. Okay, now you move the end, the left end, the left end into the center. It make it sort of like this. So you can make it shorter. Move the right end. Okay, so to this one flag click, hide forever. So forever if mouse down, then create clone of myself. Then wait until not mouse down. So when I start as a clone, you sort of so the original sprite is hiding. So when you start as a clone, you need to show it. So you can see, well, our bullet is right here. So you need to sort of like, wait a minute, take this front layer block out. So our gun can go to the front. So our bullet is not sort of, it should come out of the gun, not stay right here. So when I start as a clone, go to gun, point towards mouse pointer, and show. So you can see our gun here, it is not really shooting bullets because the bullet is just freezing in place. Well, we want our bullet to travel until it reaches the edge. So we need to add a block repeat until touching edge. Repeat until touching edge. Move 10 steps. So this is a bit slow. You change it into around, so the costume, the length of a bullet is around 18. So you move 18 steps. So a bullet is has the right speed, or you can add, for example, like 25 steps, for example. I believe we should faster, but I think the perfect value is around 20. Or we can add like a random variable like bullet speed for the sprite only. Set bullet speed to pick random from around 18, or you can say around 15 to 25. Well, that's kind of a big difference, so you gotta change to 18 to around 22, for example. You move bullet speed to touch an edge, then you delete this clone. Well, well, a bullet is deleting itself right when it touches the edge. So we need to do some um sort of like change the size to around change size to 400%, set size to 100%. So you can see a bullet is going out of the edge. So so you have coded the gun, for example. So if you want to make your bullet like bounce off walls, for example, you can add if on edge bounce. So you can change this block into repeat around 80 80, set size to 400%, move bullet speed step, set size to 100% if on edge bounce, and change ghost effect by 1. So you can sort of do like this. So a bullet is kind of glitching a bit. So you delete the size for you delete the size change effect. So you do like this. It is sort of bouncing off walls. You can make the bullets last longer by repeating 160, change ghost effect by 0.5. So a bullet is lasting a bit longer, so you can create some cool effect like this. So so that is all for this video, and in the next video I will teach you how you add your own enemies, as well as adding other weapons. So that's all for this video. Hello YouTube. So in this video I will continue the last video. So in the last video I tell you how to make a really cool shooting game, but as I said before, there is no enemies yet. So now I think we should add our first enemy. So we name this sprite enemy. So for this we'll make a circle, make it red, and make it in the center of the canvas. So this is the right size. So for this we will add block when flag click hide forever wait. So you say pick random from 1 to 5 seconds. Create clone of myself. When I start as a clone, so you show. So in this, so there is two type of spawning. So you can make the clones appear from here and then go into the screen, or you can make it appear at any part of the screen. So now You will like you need to duplicate this costume. You sort of change it a bit. So go back into the blocks, switch costume to costume 2. So when flag click, if so so you will name this costume 1 and this costume 2. If costume number equals 2, here this block, if costume number equals 2, then you repeat, so you repeat 10, change size divide by 5, and then you change ghost effect by 10. You So for this you switch costume to no you switch costume to 1. Switch costume to 1. Okay, over here. So you create a clone of yourself. Then switch back costume to costume 2. And then delete this clone. Add another if block costume number costume number equals, for example, equals 1. So so this so you sort of like, so this will be the enemy, and this is just for the like spawn animation. So for the enemy you will like repeat 10, change change ghost effect by 10. So wait, no, so you set ghost effect to, so you set ghost effect to 100, change the ghost effect by minus 10. So with this, okay, so it will create a clone like that. So make this go to a random position, so you will see many clones. You set size to 100%. So there you can see there are many enemies appearing. So that's the symbol appearing animation. So if costume name equals 1, so you need to wait around from 1 to 3 seconds. If costume name equals 1, then you set ghost effect to 100, repeat 10, change repeat around like 4, change ghost effect by minus 25. So you got this. So wait, so you change go, so you change ghost effect by 100, like by 100. So you repeat 4, change ghost effect by minus 25. Or you can around like 20, for example, minus 5. So the enemies can slowly appear. Now we want this to glide one side to random position, but a random position within, for example, like pick random size to here you get the X position, you get the Y position. It said, it'll glide one size to X position plus pick random from like minus 15 to 50, and Y is around is around Y position plus pick random from around minus 50 to 50. So you add this forever. So let's see what's happened. So the enemy sort of appear. So it is moving everywhere, but it's a bit slow. So we want to make it like sort of faster. So we change it into if if pick random from 1 to 2 equal equals 1, then like 1 6 to minus 15, and from minus 15 to 0, and pick random from minus 15 to 0 for y also, and you add this block, but pick random from 0 to 50, or this also 50. Well well so let's see. So you might notice you don't notice any difference at all. So you sort of change like from x position plus 30, y y position at 30 into here, and for this glide block glide one side to x position plus random from minus 50 to like minus 30, and for this also. So you see the enemies are moving quite faster. So, well, no, I think this doesn't really work. So you just like sort of use this from minus 50 to 50 minus 50 to 50. So if you want the enemies to move faster, you can sort of like minus 100 to 100, minus 100 to 100. So you can see the enemies are moving quite faster. So now, now an we need a variable for this sprite only called enemy health for this sprite only. With so if costume name equals 1, put the block right here, set enemy health to around pick random from 10 to 15. So you repeat until enemy health is less than 1. So if enemy health equals 0, then the clone will delete itself. Delete this clone. you add a block if. So you need to add another block here. When I start as a clone, if touching, if touching the bullet then change enemy health by -1. So you got this simple script, so let's test it out. So you see, the enemy just sort of delete itself, so we want it to sort of like have some cool death animation, like make it explode or something. So sure, let's do that. So instead of putting delete this clone, you like create name this or name this tree. So it will sort of like an explosion. Next you made another this circle smaller, sort of change the color a bit. So you create it sort of like this and and make make the color slightly better, slightly like brighter. So you keep on doing this until you have like an explosion, sort of. It looks sort of like an explosion. Okay, so you create an explosion effect sort of like this. So you will go into the code before deleting the clone. Use switch costume to 3, create clone of myself, then delete this clone, add it here. So when I start a clone, if clone name equals 3, or here costume name, if costume name equals 3, then you repeat 10. You sort of pick this, copy the code, put it here, and then delete this clone. So we will see it out. So as you can see, they have an exploding animation, but that is quite too big. So use around size size divide by 8, for example. So there is a quite that's still a quite big explosion. So you change it into like 10. So now we will test it out. So that's the correct amount. So after that, we need to give our enemies something to attack us. So I was thinking, what if our enemies can shoot like rockets at us? So we create another costume called Name Form. So you sort of create a rocket, you make it like this, move it here. Now you like sort of create create a square, delete one corner, turn it, and then put it here. So after that, you will create something like this. It's just for the it's just for the look, and it doesn't really do anything. So the rocket is a bit long, you switch it to like this. So after you've drawn the rocket, you need to draw like some sort of fire for it. So you will create a square. So you sort of change it a bit. So now you've got this, you need to make some sort of like um proportion. So you create another square. This time delete one of the corners. You delete the corners, you move into this direction, then move into center, make it sort of smaller. Okay, so you switch it to this, set the color to around 17, which is the perfect color for yellow. This, okay, so you drag it like this, you have a sort of, so it looks like the rocket is flying forward. So now you glide like, so you create and go into this, you switch costume to 4, create a clone of myself, switch back the costume, switch back the costume to switch back the costume to 1. So we make another script, if cost to number equals 2, then then point toward point towards player. So you repeat until touching edge or touching player. Touching player point toward. So you point towards player, move 10 steps. So wait. So so it should the rocket should be around this size, or if it is too big, then the player will not be able to dodge it. Now move 10 steps, then you sort of switch costume to 3, create clone of myself, delete this clone. So you set size to 50. So there is something glitching. So here, if costume number equals 4, I forgot. So yeah, so now it should work fine. Okay, so you got yourself the exploding. So you got yourself some rockets. So after this, all you need to add is some variables. So the most important variable is health, or you can say HP, for example. You move it to the corner of the screen. One flag click, set HP to 100. Now you go into this part when if costume name equals 3. Use add if touching player. If touching player, then change health by change HP by -1. So you can see our enemies here. It shoot us and we got like 10 health. So that's a bit. So you switch into around minus 0.5 health, for example. So you lost 5 health every time you got shot by a rocket. Now, now there, i- there need to be something for our player to do so they can regain their health. So you see, switch to symbol 3, color myself. So if if you add this here, so it detects if the enemy is dead, then the player will regain some health. So you sort of change health by around 5 or 10. So you can see here you lost your health. You just need to kill some enemies, and then you got around you got like this much health, more than 100. So we would like to cap the health at around at 100. So you add this script, go to player, one flag click forever. If health is larger than 100, if HP is larger than 100, set HP to 100. So here, if we kill our enemy, our health still stays 100. So so that's basically everything we need to do. And and also I think we need some more weapons for our player. So we sort of make like a grenade or bomb. So for this you add like a small square. I like the color blue. So you make it go to the player. So when flag click forever, go to player, turn 15 degrees. So it sort of creates like a cool spinning effect. Or you can like make it bigger, for example. However, it will cover our player. So we need to set ghost effect to 50. Okay, so you got this cool spinning effect, or like you can turn like 30 degrees. Okay, so this is a bit too fast. You change it into 15 degrees. So that's the perfect. So after that, so we want to throw our grenade or bomb by pressing E. So if key E press, then point towards mouse pointer, move. Wait, no. So we name a variable named throw, set. Wait, no. So like this, 10. If key press set throw to 10, 10, then repeat 10. Change throw by -1. Move throw steps. Okay, so it's still a short distance, so you want it bigger distance. So so you sort of do it like this, about 20, set throw to 20. Okay, so that's a bit too far. You set around 50. Repeat 50. So this is the correct, this is the right amount. So you repeat 15, change size by around -5, for example. Well, that's a bit that's a bit small, so you change size by -1, for example. Okay, so now we need to make an exploding animation for our bomb. So we go straight into here, copy, and then create and then paste it in directly into here. So when flag click, switch costume to 1. Then you if throw repeat 5, 5. Now you switch costume to 2. Switch costume to 2. You repeat 10. So you come to 2, repeat 10. Change size by size divided by 5. And change ghost effect by around like 10. After that, you you set ghost effect to 0. You switch costume back to costume 1, and then you like hide for around like 2 seconds. 2 seconds cooldown. You hide for 2 seconds, and then you show again. So what? So okay. Make sure to add about set size to 100%. So also, you should add when flag click show. Okay, so we add this. Yes, an explosion animation. So as you can see, this is working fine. However, the explosion is kind of big, so you change it into like divided by 8. You repeat around 20 size by 10, size divided by 10. So you check this. Okay, so it should work like this. So the explosion is kind of big, so you switch into divided by 8. So that's the correct amount. However, when you see like the first throw we got is sort of like kind of fast, but from the second throw on, it is kind of smooth. So I think we need to fix this. So when E presses size to 100%, set throw to 15, point towards mouse pointer, move throw steps, change rope by 1, change size by -1. Then you switch costume to 2, set size to 100%, change size divided by 8, change ghost effect by like 5. Okay, so oh, I think I find the problem with our code. So you add this, so you set ghost effect to 0. However, the explosion is still kind of like slow. So you repeat only 10 size divided by 8, or around by 10. You change the ghost effect by 10. So you sort of change the explosion a bit, around 6 size divided by 6. So the explosion is big, you change it into 7, for example, or 8. So this is the correct amount that we want. Now our bomb doesn't deal any damage to the enemy yet. So we add this block when I start as a clone. However, if touching touching bomb, if touching bomb, then you change enemy health by minus 0.5 and you change it into less than 0.5. Okay, so we see. So I'll be only throwing the bomb. So you can see our enemy does die because of the bomb because it is taking damage. So that's a good thing. And the last thing you can see that there is a quite too many enemies. So you sort of like wait, pick random from 5 to 10 seconds. Now let's see. Or you can add like only 5 seconds. So you can see here, this our enemy. Or you can like you can repeat like instead of moving throw step, I think we should delete the throw variable. Delete the throw variable. Repeat 15. Move. So when so if you keep moving our mouse, then the value of a mouse will be constantly changing. So you will need to make an Alt X or like mouse X, mouse Y. So you set mouse X, set mouse Y, set mouse X to mouse X, set mouse Y to mouse Y. So you sort of make like mouse. So you usually need to make like a really small dot, move into the center, one flat click forever. Go to mouse pointer. Um, so you can sort of. Okay, so what do we have here? So the we need the X and Y of this mouse. So you sort of okay make re-add the throw variable. You like so set throw to 1. Go here if throw equals 0. Then go to mouse pointer. Else then else then you do nothing. Okay, so at the if block, if throw equals 1, go to mouse pointer. Now set throw to 1. 1. Repeat. So instead of saying repeat, you repeat until touching touching the mouse. Until touching mouse, move move to distance to the mouse, mm, divided by like 3. So it will be sort of like this, or you can like mine by divided by 10. However, you need to set throw to 0 after this. Set throw to 0. So if you add it out of this, switch it to here. Now you should change the ghost effect. No, set ghost effect to 100. Set ghost effect to 100. So that's all for this video. So we've add the weapon, we add the enemies, the weapon of the enemies. So that's all for this video. So in the next video, I will tell you how to add like sound effects and all the weapons. So that's all for this video. Hello YouTube, welcome back to my third video. So in this video, I will teach you how to like keep coding on your game and improve it. So now in from the last episode, we have got this, and from last video, we got this game. So as you can see, it is working pretty fine. The player is taking damage, the player can move around, the player can throw a bomb, and the player can shoot laser bullets. So So basically, basically that's all. However, you can see a problem here. So the health points or the HP of the player is negative, but the player hasn't died yet. So so for this, you need to sort of make a dead screen. Now, when flat click forever, if if HP is less than 0, then stop all. So so we will test it out. So as you can see, enemies are shooting, the player is taking damage. So when the player health is like this, what this code does is that when the player's health reaches below 0, the game will stop. So yeah, it is like this. The game will stop completely. So instead of stopping, we want a death screen. So you can make any death screen you like, but I will keep it simple. A black screen, then a text saying that you died. Switch color to any color you like, and I prefer the red color. So move it to the center and then press shift and drag it to up here. Now, now when flag click, go to 0, 0. So that will prevent our desk screen from moving into random places. So when flag click, go to X0Y0, you set ghost effect. Set ghost effect to 100. You delete this part, go into here, when flat click forever. If HP is less than 1, or less than 0. Then you repeat 10. You change equals effect by 10 minus 10. So you so when flag click is like this when if HP is less than 0. So the screen will appear like this. Or you can make it appear slower. You repeat 10 thing, change equals effect by minus 5. And after that you stop all. So you set HP to 100. Okay, so we will test it a bit. Okay, so now we will wait the until the enemy kills the player. So what this code basically does is that when the player dies, the death screen slowly appears, and it slowly appears because so it's sort of like this. Now, what we need is like add some more enemies. So we will duplicate the enemies, name it, we will call it, we'll make this enemy a bit faster and smaller. We'll change the color to around 50. We'll call it fast enemy. So what this, you wait 10 seconds, go to random position, create a clone of myself. Now you go to, if for the rocket part, um, you move 20 steps. But before that, we need the screen to go to front. So you can see we'll wait for the blue enemy to start spawning. So you can see the blue enemy pocket is pretty fast. So you set it to move 15 steps. Flat 0, flat 0.5 size to X position, be random from minus 150 and 150. For Y position minus 150 to 150. Now, for the explosion, if costumes equals 3, you change side by side divided by 15. We want the explosion to be smaller. If touching player minus health by 0.1 or around 0.2. We want this enemy to like deal less damage but is faster. Okay, so now we need to make our player able to go upwards. So we sort of make sort of propulsion. So we name this um, make our player able to dash. effect. You go into this, copy the player costume, go back, and then you remove this, make the middle transparent, and you sort of change the outline color to 15. One flat click forever. If key space press or key Q, then before doing that, we need to add this block. When flat click forever, go to player, and you set the ghost effect to 100. Forever change the ghost effect by around 10. If key Q is if key Q press, then you set ghost effect to 0. Or now you need to change like change size. Change size by size divided by 10. So move the go to player into this, and before the block go to player, you set size to 100%. Then you sort of repeat change size by 10. So you want a player to sort of like go in the direction of go in the direction of the mouse. So when it is click, we name another another variable called dash for all sprites. Had the dash variable set dash to 1. When flat click with dash equals 0, go to mouse pointer, set dash to 0. Okay, so I think we need to make another sprite called mouse 2. For this part, if dash equals 0, go to mouse pointer. Now for the player script, when dash equals 1, we flat click forever. If dash equals 1, then you point towards the mouse pointer. You set this to no rotation. set the rotation style, don't rotate, point towards mouse pointer, then you repeat, repeat until touching mouse 2. Mouse 2, you move distance to, you get move distance to mouse 2 divided by, for let's say 10. So we can see a problem here. So what is our player doing? So we check the vertical velocity. Our player is sort of like, so yeah, we got this problem. If dash equals 1, then points towards mouse pointer, repeat until touching mouse 2, move distance to mouse 2 divided by 10 steps. Well, if dash equals 0, go to mouse pointer. So our player is sort of having some glitch. So we check the vertical velocity of horizontal velocity of our player. It is currently 0, but our player is sort of moving. So where is mouse 2? Our player is sort of moving, glitching like this. So you change it into mouse 2 step. You set you set vertical velocity to 0. Okay. So now you repeat until repeat until wait until oh wait, so we need to name like another variable player dash. Go to this part. No, we'll go into here and flat click. No, you set is a player dash to 1. Okay, forever set player dash to 0. You go down here, repeat until player dash equals 1. Change size by size divided by 10. So you can see when dashing up here can sort of move, which means that up here can sort of like miss the mouse too. So when we do this, move distance to mouse mouse 2 divided by 10 steps, you set horizontal velocity to 0. That so that our player sort of like have to dash and cannot move. Point towards mouse 2. However, you can see our player is still sort of avoiding the mouse 2. So for this part, you always point towards mouse 2. Or or you can say mouse 2 divided by 3 steps. That is a bit too fast. You said to divide it by 5 steps or around 8 divided by 8. Okay, so I think the perfect value is around 6. So our player can dash around like this a bit. So our player can sort of like avoid any projectiles, any rockets. Uh, so that is a bit too easy. So you sort of like make our enemies a bit harder. Go to 0.56. So as you can see, our player can sort of like avoid but can still get hit. So so that is the perfect hard. Like it's hard enough, it's difficult enough for our player. So now use that go back into my suicide goes to 100. So you got our game done. However, you can see our player is sort of touching the ceiling. So we make another block called when flag click forever if touching ceiling. When flag click if touching the ceiling, then you use the block touching ceiling. Following the screen refresh, move the touching ceiling block into here. Before the block define touching ceiling, you repeat until not touching ceiling. You change y by -1. Well, however, there is a problem. We need to make our mouse 2 sprite bigger, and still that is kind of too small for our player. So we need to like make it bigger than the ceiling. So for this, and make it so that the player can touch. So you can see here, even if I dash towards the ceiling, the player can sort of still dash to the ceiling. However, there's another problem here. So we need to make our circle bigger so that even if we point towards a corner of the screen, a player can still touch. So after all of that, you set ghost effect to 100%. So you see our player can sort of dash around. So our player is sort of like flying right now. So now we need to have some sound effects. So we go to the website called Mixkit. Now you get some now you get some sort of like audios. So we search for sound effects. Search for explosion. So you choose the perfect explosion. You download a soundtrack and then you go into the enemy sounds. You upload sound, you have this sound. Now go into this part you start explosion sound. Now we need to do this for both enemies. We go into this, repeat 10, you start sound explosion. The sound is a bit too loud, so you sort of make it soft. So you sort of make it like this. Now we wait for our enemies to spawn. Okay, so now we need a sound when a player is shooting. But before that, we need to add a sound for our bombs also. Add this sound here. Here, you start sound this. Okay, so we check our explosion. So that's the perfect sound. So now we go into the same website. We find bullet. So we search for it. Okay, so you get this, or you can check out the sound. Now we go to this part or add the sound we have downloaded. So if mouse down, click clone of myself into not mouse down. You start sound laser gunshot. So you got our sound for our player. Okay, now that we got this part now, we need to make sort of like um for the dash effect also. So you go into this part at the laser effect that you just downloaded. You keep Q press start sound. Okay, now that we got the sound effect for sort or basically everything, we need to like when our enemy spawn, it creates a sort of a pulse. So you need to you we need to make add the sound for spawn effect also, which is spawn effect.
Minion. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Minions have spawned.
So there isn't really any sound that we like. So now we will sort of go into here, add we will sort of go into the sound. We add our sound effects. We search we search for the sound that we like. So we use this sound effect when I start as the clone. If costume number equals 1 or if costume number equals 2, starts down finger snap. And you go into the fast enemy part also. You add the sound finger snap. You start something snap added here. So you see when a player spawns, it sort of create a body snap or finger snap sound. So yeah, that's basically all for this video. And in the next video, I will tell you how to add all the sound effect, how to add all the type of enemies, like for example, some bots. Hello YouTube, this is the next part of the video how to code a really cool shooting game in Scratch. So in the last episode we have got this part. Now what we need is to just to sort of improve our games because it is like sort of finished. So there is a problem that we need to see. So this so you, so our player will sort of spawns over here. And if the enemy is on the edge, it will should try to shoot rocket at us, but the rocket is already touching the edge, so we need to fix that. So by fixing that, we just need to select all, press shift, and then you drag it in, make this part touch the center. For the fast enemy, you also do the same. So you make the rockets smaller and make that part touch the center to the right a bit. So also since this enemy is blue, I think we should change its color. We change the color to the color matching its body. We also change this part. So this is perfect. So you just sort of change it into like this and you're done. Or I think so. I like ordering this because it looks sort of like very cool. Okay, so now we have got like a lot of types of enemies. I think what we need to add is another like I think our players should be able to like stick on walls or like or fly or something. So what we got now is the ability to dash. We can sort of like go anywhere. We can sort of like go anywhere we want with that ability. So I think we need to make like another type of gun. We duplicate the first costume, make this a bit bigger. Um, around 10. Make it color red. If mouse down, then switch costume to the first costume. Next, if key E press. If key E press, then switch costume to costume 2. Create color for myself. Wait until not key E press. No, wait, no. Key E is for the bomb, so we need to change it around key key F should be okay. Forever. Once I click forever, if key F press, start this self switch costume to tools, create clone of myself. Now, this is for the normal bullet. For the red bullet, the stronger one, we need to make another part of the code. For the normal bullet, we have if costume numbers equals one, then you do this if costume number equals 2 or else you set you set bullet speed to around 20, 20 to 25. Point was mouse pointer, repeat, move bullet speed steps. If on edge, change equals effect by around like 1, for example. Repeat 80. We also need a cooldown for this, so we add the block wait 2 seconds or 5. I think 2 is the perfect amount. Or I think we need to make the bullet faster. So instead of making the bullet bounce all around, we make it explode on contact with the enemy or of the edge. So you repeat until touching edge, move, move, like move bullet speed steps. So we got sort of this. It still looks a bit too fast, so we change it to 25 and 30. So we add, so we sort of change bullet speed by 1. We are sort of kind of like faster, uh, the longer it travels. Or you can change bullet speed by minus 0.5. It slows the bullet down a bit. So we go into here, copy the explosion, move it into the bullet sprite. We'll make this slightly smaller. Then you switch, so repeat until touching edge. Then, oh, touching edge or touching enemy. Then you switch costume to explosion or the costume name 3. create clone of myself. Then for this part you add if costume number equals 2. Then add another else block. If the custom number is neither 1 or 2, then it must be 3. Then it's the explosion. So you repeat 10. Change size by size divided. Wait, before that you set size to 100. Change size by size divided by 10, for example. Size divided by 10. Change close effect by 10. Then you delete this clone. You should also add an exploding. You should also add an exploding sound. So you sort of make it like this. So you sort of make it like this. So after that, then you sort of go into you sort of add another type of bullet for our enemy or our player. So we should make another type of enemy. This type it should be like some sort of big enemy. So we change it into like big enemy. We make it slightly bigger. Change its color to green. Forever wait 10 seconds, go to random position, create clone of myself. Now we also need to make it we need to make it rocket slightly bigger. Name again big enemy. So we also need a big explosion. So for the fast enemy, the explosion should look smaller. So you go in our game and is sort of like finish. You can shoot your enemies. So there should be there should be like there should be a type of. So you see the game is pretty hard for our players. So I think we should add some sort of like shield. We make we'll make a big like square. Move to the center, press shift and move it. For this one flat click forever. Go to player. One flat click for forever go to player or point towards mouse pointer. So you sort of have this. Okay, so we need to code for if touching shield shield, then point in direction of shield. Move this block here, select shield, select direction. So we go to find if costume number equals 4, the rocket one. So we got it here. If costume name equals 4, repeat until touching edge, touching player. If touching shield, pointing direction of shield. We also need to duplicate this, move it into fast enemy, move it into big enemy. If touching shield, move in direction, pointing in direction of shield. We go into this part, if the shield pointing direction of shield. And we also do the same for the big enemy. For the rocket, we need to make it slightly slower. So now we will wait a sound when we sort of like deflect the rocket. So we go to this website, we search for sound effects. The or you can sort of like go into the sounds part. You search for effects. So this should will find. Delete this part. If touching should point in direction of shield, start sound basketball bounce. We move this sound into fast enemy, we move this sound into big enemy also. For the fast enemy, we make it like faster. No, not this sound. Okay, it should sound like that. You start sound basketball bounce if touching shield. And for the big spike, you make it slow. Start sound basketball bounce. So now we'll wait for our enemies to spawn. So far this is working pretty fine. However, I think the shield is a bit big and it would be too easy for our player. So we'll make it sort of smaller and make it come closer to the player. Just like this. So once you've added the shield, then it's basically all you need to do. Or you can add some sort of like high jump. So you go into the player, you find the key space or key W or key up arrow press and jump equals 0. Or you say jump is less than 10. So you sort of make our player, if the player is holding, then it makes the player higher. And when the player is, and it makes our player jump higher if they are holding. So you make our player, it makes our player jump higher, or you can change it into 5. You now add another part. If no, you you change vertical velocity by jump. So the longer you hold, the higher you jump. So if okay, so the player can jump incredibly high, or the player can just tap the button and the player jumps very low. Now we need to add another block, or we should just add into this block. So you see our player can sort of like jump multiple times in the air, and which makes the player able to jump very high. So you sort of code it to something to prevent the player from jumping multiple times. The player can only jump one time. We add a block if not touching the platform, and not do not touch the platform, and not key space or key W or key up arrow press, then you set jump to 5. So when a player is not touching platform, up you see our player can still jump. So there is some coding error. So for this, change jump by 1, set vertical velocity to 12, to change velocity by jump. Well, if the player is not touching and not these keys or press, then you sort of set jump to, so instead you change jump by 5. So you see our plane still jumping. So I think we should remove this part. So right now our player can jump high or jump incredibly low. So that's perfect for the player. Now I think we should need to make another type of enemy. Um another type of enemy we will delete all the parts. We will make it completely black. So when flag click, you remove all of these unnecessary blocks. So when flag click forever, wait one wait like 5 or 10 seconds, create clone of myself. When I start as a clone, for when flag click hide as when I start as a clone show. So before that, you go to random position. When I start as a clone show, you set ghost effect to 100. You change ghost effect by minus 10. You repeat 10. So first we will check out this enemy first. So you see our enemy is appearing everywhere. So we need to make it smaller. So you set enemy health to 1. So this enemy will be like, it will be really weak. But it would be sort of, it would need to be very annoying for the player. Change equals effect by 10. Or what about just what? So I think we should need to make this enemy immortal, make it sort of unkillable. So you for when flag clicks, click, repeat. When flag click, you show, repeat 10. Before the repeat 10, you add set ghost effect to 100. You repeat 10. Change ghost effect by minus 10. Then you forever before that you go to random position and you forever will point towards the player. Then you move one steps. Or you make it appear slower. So the enemy will constantly keep following you. So we may make it faster, for example, a bit. Or you should have move distance to player divided divided by, for example, 20. So if the player keeps moving, this enemy cannot, if the player is moving fast, the enemy cannot catch up. But but if the player is constantly moving, this enemy cannot catch up. But if the player is really far from the enemy will sort of like run, fly straight, fly fast to the player. So at this block, if if touching player, then you change health by minus 0.0.1. You make a message like broadcast message one. Um, we make another price called blind. We make another sprite called, it could be anything. So you fill the screen. When flag click, go to 0, 0. So when going to 0, 0 forever, before that you set ghost effect to 100. Forever change ghost effect by 2 when I receive blind. Set ghost effect to 0. So we will test out our enemy first. So you see our enemy is blind to the player, which makes the player unable to see. So forever go to front layer. So sort of make it hard for the player to see, or you can make it even harder to see by changing the ghost effect by only 1. So this enemy makes the player lose really little health, but it reflects the speed when the player are. So it's quite annoying. So that's all for this video. In the next video, we will be adding other types of enemy to the game. And that's all. Hello YouTube. In this video, we will continue how to code on a really cool shooting game. So in the last video, we have added this type of enemy. So this type of enemy will keep chasing us. So what I want to do now is make our shield able to block that kind of enemy. So we will be going into the black enemy script if touching shield. Then you move -1 steps. So you will be adding it to one flag click forever if touching shield move -1 steps. So you see employer can still sort of go into the shield. I will make a block called shield running a screen refresh. Define shield forever shield. Define shield if touching shield move -1 steps. So you can see the enemy is sort of going through. If then you add this block if touching shield, then repeat until not touching shield. You see our enemy is not able to is not able to get through the shield. We can sort of push the enemy around without getting a player hurt. So it's sort of a cool mechanic. Now the next type of enemy that we'll be adding is like We'll make another enemy, duplicate our last enemy. We'll name this special enemy. So it will have a random color. When I start as a clone, set color effect to pick random from 0 to 100. Set size to pick random from 50 to 100, 150. And so for the damage, if touching bomb change enemy health by pick random from -2 to -5. When you kill this enemy, you will get around pick random from 10 to 20. Or you can like make another type of enemy called laser enemy. So you don't need this part anymore. You make the enemy make the enemy gray. Then you make a red line. Move into the center and then you drag it while holding shift. So you go into here. You remove the part for the rocket. So the spawn effect is still the same. The enemy is still the same. You delete this part. You add another block. When I start as a clone for forever point towards player. You add another block if touching player. If touching player, then you will make our player lose one health. Change change HP by -1. Wait around 1 second. Instead of going to player, you point towards player. So we check out this enemy a bit. So see our enemy is sort of like trying to shoot us. We'll make another costume. This costume we name it 0. Move it before. So you switch costume to 0. Create clone of myself. Switch costume to 2. If costume name equals 0. So enemy has to pick random from from 5 to 20. For the repeat until enemy health is less than 0.5. Use a to switch costume to 1. Wait 1 second and then switch the costume back to 2 or 0. So we check out our enemy for a bit. So you see the laser enemy is working pretty fine. Instead of waiting 1 second, you repeat 10. Point towards player. You remove this part, or you repeat like 20. So we check out our laser enemy. Okay, so you can see our laser enemy is working pretty fine. Now we just need to change so I think we need to wait like 30 seconds for one to spawn. And we set its health to 20 to 30. And with that, I think we should also add another type of weapon for the player because there are quite too much there are so like too much enemies. And we should also change this part. We add this part to here. If the red bullet is only detecting the fast enemy, we also need the big enemy and laser enemy, and the black enemy that won't die. So you add this if touching big enemy, touching black enemy, and touching laser enemy. You move it into here. So you see a bullet can sort of it can sort of it detects other types of enemy. So now what weapon we need to add is I think that we should be able to shoot a lot of bullets at once. So we call this bullet 2. For this you just need to make a black dot over here. So you go into the bullet script and flat click hide forever. If mouse down start this sound. So when I start as a clone, then you show point towards mouse pointer, turn pick random from -10 to 10 degrees. And before that, you add another block called shoot, running a screen refresh. Define shoot move, define shoot here, shoot, create clone of myself. You do it like around 10 times is okay. You wait 10 seconds, or so for this you can like you will repeat 10 create clone of myself. As a clone pointer was mouse pointer, turn pick random from like -15 to 15 degrees. Repeat until touching. So we'll take this block from the bullet script. Repeat until touching edge or touching laser enemy or touching black enemy, touching big enemy fast and normal enemy. You move 10 steps. Then you explode. Look, move the exploding costume into here. Then you switch costume to 3. Repeat 10. Change the ghost effect by 10. Change size by size divided by 10. Then delete the clone. For this, if key if key we will test this out. If key all press, so we'll make this go to our player. Forever go to player. So you shoot off like sort of like shoot a lot of bullets at once. So we'll make it around when key all press repeat 20 crit clone of myself. Pick random from -5 to 5 degrees. However, that is a little that is a bit too. We need to make pick random from -10 to 10 degrees. And also we should need to make a bullet faster. So we go into the first enemy. we add if touching bullet 2, change enemy health by minus 0.5 or 0 minus 5. We move it into these enemies. So we will test our game out. So we can push around the black enemy, we can deflect, we can shoot. Now we'll be waiting for the laser enemy to spawn. So we'll be waiting for our enemy to spawn. So you see our laser enemy has just appeared and it is working pretty fine. Now we want like sort of to make our enemy to make like you see when the enemy dies they explode. So the explosion must like sort of new damage to the surrounding enemies. So you add another block when I start as a clone. Forever if touching or if touching color red, if touching color red, then you change enemy health by minus 10. Move it into these enemies. Now we'll be testing it out. And before testing it out, I forgot to add the sound. So we go into here, take the sound, move to the bullet to sprite, and you say start the sound. So you see a bullet sort of like explode. Okay, so our game is working perfectly. So that's all for this video. And in the next video, we will focus on like how to improve our game. So that's all.